show you move. Good news, everyone. The kitty see onions have legs.
Welcome to 20th Century Boy. My name is Radioactive Microwave, and this is the inside of my mind. Hello, and Radioactive Microwave this week. Last week, I did Radio Wave's microphone, which got a few laughs, and I'd love to start this as a new thing. Welcome to the podcast, by the way. It's me, Radio Mike, aka Radio Wave's Radioactive Microwave, aka Radio Wave's Michelangelo. No, last week it was Radio Wave's Michelangelo. Wow, if this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, you're probably very confused, but I would love to start a new thing right here on the top. If you have any fun, funny, or creative ways of me saying Radio Mike, aka Radio Wave's Michelangelo, Radioactive Microwave, send them in and I can use them and I can credit you at the top of the show. So yeah, please send them in. As I said, my name is Radio Mike. This is a podcast about me and my life. This is both an audio and a video podcast. As of 2 weeks ago, there are videos on YouTube. Just type in Radio Mike. Otherwise, wherever you podcast, I assume you are doing one of those, because if you are not doing one of those, I don't know how you could possibly be listening to this podcast right now. But welcome to the show. It's good to be back for another week. This podcast is about me and my life as a young writer and producer here in Melbourne, Australia. And it's really good. It's really good. I don't think I talked about this last week, but here in Melbourne, COVID restrictions have ended. They have come to an end. Well, not holistically an end, but they are, loosened very much. We're still wearing masks, but we can now travel. We can go to places. We can go to restaurants. We can go to bars. We can have a cheeky drink and a cocktail and a meal, and we can go to people's houses, not in huge numbers, but it's still something. It's still something, and I'm bloody loving it. It's been so good finally being able to see people and go out and do stuff. Still not really returning to the actual workplace. But yeah, I have a bit of news. I have a few little news things. But first of all, as we always do on this show, we are the world's only winnable podcast, we believe. We are the only winnable podcast in the world. The way to win the podcast, quite easy, and will become easier, particularly if you're in Melbourne. It's been very hard for the past few months, but if you are from Melbourne, do a 360 spin on the spot right now. You don't have to do a full 360 on the spot. You can just move your head around, turn around. Yeah. If you are listening to this bit of the podcast right now, do your 360. If you happen to see me, Radio Mike, in the flesh, by total coincidence, you cannot camp outside my house. You cannot camp outside my workplace. You cannot camp outside anywhere that you know I am going to be, any pre-planned event that you were aware I'm going to be at. And you have to be listening to this part of the podcast at the same time. If you check all those criteria, tick, 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 you've won the podcast. Come up to me right now and say, hey, I just won the podcast. Then the podcast ends. When someone wins the podcast ends forever. And there is a prize. I will not reveal the prize until someone wins, but it's going to be much easier. I'm going to be out and about a bit now, so it's going to be much easier to win the podcast. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting the show by purchasing a 20th Century Boy sticker pack. You can get these at radiomike.com.au and find out more about a bunch of the shows that I make and a bunch of the stuff that I do on that website. So go check that out. And buy a sticker pack to support the show for $20. Pretty easy, pretty cruisy. I'll send it out to you. Thanks to everyone who's done that so far. I'm really happy that we're selling them. And they're really good quality stickers you can put on your laptop or your guitar or whatever the fuck you put stickers on. I don't really know. The back of your car. I don't know. And yeah, that's been really good. $20. The way I frame it is, if you buy a sticker pack, you're supporting the show and you're keeping the lights on here at Radio Mike Productions for another month, because it just costs a little bit to run the podcast. That's pretty much it. It's just to keep the lights on here. I'm not trying to become a billionaire by selling stickers. If I wanted to be a billionaire, I'd be setting up something similar to Amazon. But I guess Amazon started as like a bookshop. I think Amazon only did books at first, and now they're like a global conglomerate. So maybe stickers is the way I'm leading into becoming the next Amazon. It's quite possible that that's the case. But hey, I said I've got a bunch of news. A few weeks ago, I had Mike's week of big announcement. Well, this this is nearly part 2 of that already part 2 of that, because I have 2 pretty big announcements. The first one, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, you may or may not be aware of this, and I'm super excited about it. My spin-off podcast of this podcast, Harry Potter and the Boys, the podcast is out now. It dropped yesterday. It is out now. A new episode will come out every Wednesday. It is my Harry Potter fan fiction that I wrote when I was in year 7 at school. Go and listen to it right now. Please just go and subscribe to it. Put it in your up next, download the first episode, listen to the trailer, and leave a review. Just get it pushed up. Please check it out. This is going to be every week, every Wednesday. Here is a snippet of some of the first episode. I also filmed it. I filmed it a few weeks ago. So if you're watching the video of this, my hair is a lot longer in the Harry Potter and the Boys one. Hogwarts. It just says the letter starts with Hogwarts. And then it says Headmaster Harry Potter. And it goes on. Also, Head of Stupidity and Head of Giving Head. That's something that every year 7 would find funny, but I still find that funny. So at some point, Harry Potter, who is now the headmaster of Hogwarts, is also the head of stupidity of Hogwarts. And to top it off, in a mad trilogy, he is the head of Giving Head. Harry Potter is now the head of Sucking Dick at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Really funny, really looking forward to revisiting this every week. And send any correspondence the same way you would correspond to this show. Email radiomikepod@gmail.com. That is the best way to get involved with any of my work. Just send an email there. I'd love to have as much audience participation in that show as there is in this show. So please, after you finish this episode, or even right now, you can cut this one short and come back to it later. Go listen to the first ep of Harry Potter and the Boys. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Send something in Instagram, wherever you want. Really keen for that to happen. I'm so excited. We finally got there, guys. And credit to Dave Ferrier, a good friend of mine who did the artwork. I really love the artwork that he's done for it. I asked him to kind of do like almost like a Captain Underpants style. Like if you look at the front covers of the Captain Underpants books, it's kind of, I don't know, the art style, like that was the reference I gave him. Like, can it kind of in some way look cheesy, cartoony like Captain Underpants, which is one of the main inspirations for the original Harry Potter and the Boys book, because I was really into those books as a kid, and they were very self-referential books. They were very meta books. The characters in those books were aware they were in a book a lot of the time, and that's similar to what I was doing in Harry Potter and the Boys. So go check it out. There are a lot of laughs in that first chapter of Harry Potter and the Boys, as you heard just then. Please go check it out. One more thing that I completely forgot to plug last week, but Mike Talks, which is the bonus Friday edition, some Fridays when I can be bothered, asterisks, of 20th Century Boy. Mike Talks last week was a great one with one of my good friends, Luke Kidgel, and we had a really, really funny chat. We chatted about a lot of stuff, including how I find ice cream vans very weird. We talked about getting annoyed about having to say goodbye to people at parties, and a story that went really well on Instagram. There's a clip on Instagram, how I actually have a famous cousin who plays AFL football, a very famous cousin that plays AFL football that I've never really spoken about, and I speak about it with Luke. So please go and listen to that. That was a great chat, and thanks to everyone for all the feedback on that as well. That was so fun, and Luke's always great fun to hang out with. And the next bit of just brief news to kick off the podcast, and this is sort of how the podcast usually works. At the top, first little chunk, I talk about my week and any news. Then we go on to talk about, pop culture stuff, do some of the segments and games we do on the show. It all kind of comes together. Final news, and you may not have even noticed this if you were watching the video. You may not have noticed it at all. You may have, I don't know. Audio listeners definitely won't have, but for the last for the last year, for the last 12 months, I've been living in an apartment by myself. But in the works for some time now, I have actually been planning to move. And as of this weekend, as in the weekend just passed, it's Monday today when I'm recording this, I have moved into a share house with some of my friends, and I've been here for 2 nights. It's going really, really well. It is so great to sit around the TV at night with other people and just watch TV. we have decided to binge the original Dragon Ball Z. Not, and we are really enjoying that. We've watched probably 10 episodes in 2 nights. So that is super, super fun. And I'll talk a little bit about that later because well, I'll just talk a bit about it now. It's funny because Dragon Ball Z, because it's like the episodes we're watching, they must have been ripped off TV broadcasts. So they've got like a bit in the middle where there's like an eye catch for a commercial. So you can tell that the commercial would have gone there. And like you'll end the scene, like one of the scenes, the first story arc in Dragon Ball Z is I think it's called the Raditz saga. And there's this guy called Raditz who comes down to planet Earth and tells Goku, hey, you're actually an alien species that was Goku, the character of Goku, the main character in Dragon Ball Z, he has a very similar origin story to Superman. He is an alien from a distant planet that was sent to Earth as a baby by his parents, to with the intention of destroying humanity so the planet can take over the world and use it. But he ends up turning good and has super strength and superpowers and everything like that. That's pretty much what happens. Now, at the start of Dragon Ball Z, Raditz kidnaps Goku's son Gohan, and he says in one scene just before the commercial, "You must kill 100 humans in the next 24 hours, lay their bodies on the beach, and only when you've done that will I give your son back." Then it goes to a commercial, and like we don't see the commercial, but the commercial's there, and then coming back for us watching in real time, because we skipped the commercial, it's instant. But I guess if there was a commercial, it would kind of make sense. But immediately after the commercial, the same scene plays, and then Raditz goes, "Now, just in case you didn't hear me, as I said, 100 bodies on the beach within 24 hours, then I'll give your son back." So it's like, it's like a recap after the commercial, but if you're sitting down and watching it instantly, and this is every episode, there's something like that. It's just instantly you hear like the exact same thing twice. Oh man, it's really, really, really funny because it's just like the way they're like, "Now, if you didn't hear me before, I'd like to tell you one more time." Like we just did it. The other thing is like all the episodes end on cliffhangers, and then the narrator comes in and it's always like, "How will Goku find his way out of this one? Find out on the next Dragon Ball Z." And then like me and my friend watching it, every time anything happens, we're like, Goku's in a bit of hot water this time. How will he get out of this one? Find out next time, even if it's like 2 minutes into the episode. So we've been having a lot of fun with that. My housemate has a dog, and she is the best dog ever. I already love her, and that's awesome to have a dog. So right now, both my housemates are at work, but I have a dog keeping me company while I do work from home and do this as well. But she's been trained not to come into any of the bedrooms, and I'm recording this in my bedroom. And obviously, the set of this podcast looks exactly the same. And that's because I pretty much just took my set to here. So the set pretty much looks unchanged. In fact, it looks almost identical to how it was, which is great. I've still got my Japan mural in the background, which you may have seen in some of the clips. And I've never really given context on this, but this is a shrine in Kyoto called the Fushimi Inari Shrine, which is famous for these red archways. And I went there, obviously, in Kyoto, and I bought this, and it's just a little, I don't know, like cloth thing with a painting on it. Interestingly enough, this shrine, which has fox statues at the front, and if you're watching the video, you can see the foxes here on it. If not, you'll see it on the clips. This is a really great piece of trivia. The video game series Star Fox, which is a Nintendo series about dogfighting animals in outer space that was inspired by Star Wars, the character Fox, who is the main character, Fox McCloud, was actually inspired when the creator of that game went to this shrine and saw the fox statues. And I just think that's really cool, like how, a really big gaming franchise, Star Fox, was inspired by this guy just going to a temple in his hometown. And then he imagined a fox flying through these archways in a spaceship, and that's how Star Fox, the the game where you're piloting a spaceship as a fox was created. So I think that's really cool. But I am rambling a bit. I get really excited about pop culture references like that. So yeah, I have moved. It's really good. It was quite challenging to live alone during lockdown. And if you are still doing that, I don't know if anyone is, but it is very difficult. And yeah, this is just a new chapter for me, which is cool. We're coming to the end of 2020, hopefully starting to see, a little bit more normality moving forward. And I think that's great. And I'm really excited about that. So this is a new chapter, living with a few other people for the first time. And I couldn't be happier, really. So that's been a great adventure. But thanks to all of you guys who really helped motivate me and keep me company for the past year or so while I was living alone. And don't get me wrong, there were some really, really good parts about living alone. But yeah, this is just a brand new chapter for me and my life. So those are the big bits of news for this episode. Harry Potter and the Boys, go listen to it. Mike Talks, go listen/watch it. That's on YouTube. And there will be another Mike Talks this week. I won't say the guest yet. And yeah, moving places. Very, very quickly, I want to plug here that the episode today will end with the Big Mac, Big Jack eat off, where I try both the Big Mac and the Big Jack and review them live on air. So that's something to stick around to the end for. I just wanted to do it at the end so I could basically finish. Like, I'm recording this at 11 a.m. on Monday. I figure like by the time I'm at the end, it'll be nearly lunchtime, so I can go get them and then come back and finish the podcast then. But yeah, as I said, you can get in touch with the show. You guys are the radio family. The radio family is the collective group of listeners of this show. We are a family. We stick together through thick and thin. You can get in touch with the show anytime, Radio Fam, radiomikepod@gmail.com, radio.mike on Instagram, or, of course, our hotline for the show, 1-800-438-353. It spells 1-800-GETFKD, 1-800-GET-FUCKED. I like to say 1-800-438-353. You guys can say whatever we want. And Radio Alex Sky, a devoted listener of this show, who will feature twice on this show today because I have something else I want to bring up with him. But he has, not only did he compose an original song with Radio Scooter from the UK, so an international collaboration here. You've all heard that jingle, unless you're new to this podcast, but he's actually remixed the jingle as a snazzy jazz version of the jingle, which I really, really like. So I'm going to play the snazzy jazz version of the 1-800-438-353 jingle now.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Call 1-800-438-353.
Good is that? That's just so smooth. So now we've got kind of our standard jingle. I mean, do I play the standard jingle as well so we can compare them? Here's the standard one.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Call 1-800-438-353.
So we've got two now. Now my question is, do we use them interchangeably? Do we I really like the jazz one, but maybe that's just because it's snazzy and new. Do we replace the original with the jazz one? Or here's my other thought. If Radio Alex Sky can post the original, or Radio Scooter, because it's Scooter singing, post the original, the a cappella version, so just the singing, and then anyone is welcome to cover it or remix it using the a cappella to whatever they want. Cover it, if anyone wants to cover it, and maybe we end up with 5 or 6 different jingles that we can just interchange with throughout the years of this podcast. So feel free, if anyone wants to post that online. I would love to hear some more remixes of the 20th Century Boy 1-800-438-353 jingle. I think that would be fantastic. So thank you to Radio Alex Sky. I will talk a bit more about you a little bit later, so hang tight. But for now, a few weeks ago on the show, I told a story about Trello. And if you are not aware, Trello is it's a long story, but Trello is like a teamwork group app that it's like Slack or all those other, Asana, I think is one, where you can like set tasks and set, within workplaces, you can set tasks and people can see where everything is at, etc. When we worked in radio on the Luke and Lewis show, which I also talk about with Luke in the Mike Talks from last week, Lewis Spears tried to get everyone on Trello. It didn't pick up. We used it for like a week and then never touched it again. And then sometimes 2 years later, I just randomly say to Lewis, hey man, check the Trello. And well, I told you guys to start commenting on his stuff and interacting with him, saying check the Trello. And I didn't know if this was happening. I didn't know if people were doing it. And then I realized from Keelan, who works with Lewis, that a lot of you were commenting on his stuff, just saying check the Trello. Exactly what we want. Thank you to everyone in the radio family that did that. Hilarious. But one listener of the show, Radio Pat Hamilton, welcome to the radio family, Radio Pat Hamilton, took it to another level, a level that I genuinely found hilarious. And Lewis was streaming on Twitch, and I don't really understand how Twitch works, but from what I understand, you can pay money, you can donate, and when you donate, you can like do a highlighted message. So your message appears on the chat bigger and blocks out everything else for like a few seconds or something like that. And I actually think what Pat Hamilton has done is he's changed his username on Twitch to check the Trello and then donated like $20 or something, which means that Lewis is reading out all the names of people who are donating. So I'll cut in what happened here. This is what happened when that happened.
What's happening? Check the for fuck's sake, check the Trello. Thank you for the gifted sub for check the Trello. I absolutely hate that obscure fucking radio mic podcast meme has been destroying my life. So thank you very much to check the Trello for the gifted sub.
So I just thought this was really hilarious because it shows that Lewis is very aware of what is occurring, and it's also just amazing trolling from Radio Pat Hamilton, who has just changed his username to check the Trello and has made Lewis read out check the Trello on air and respond to it like that. This is exactly the reaction we wanted. Please keep doing it. Please keep annoying Lewis. You know, he's very popular, so it's not going to matter. Just keep messaging him, check the Trello, check the Trello, check the Trello, check the Trello. This has been on hiatus for some time now, but we are finally going to get a chance to do this again. And the reason we are able to do this again is because lockdown here in Melbourne is over. So if you don't mind, I'd love to do one of these. This is the Podcast Pokemon Card Trading Network, the PPCTN, Podcast Pokemon Card Trading Network, PPCTN. And what this was for a while, I realized that there were probably 5 or 6 cards from my original Pokemon card collection that were missing, and I thought, what the heck? What the heck? I want to complete my Pokemon card collection. I want to complete all of the Pokemon cards. I want to have all the original cards. All I need is 4 or 5. Who better to help me out than the listeners of my podcast? So far, we've recovered several of the cards we needed by generous donators, and you can donate any Pokemon cards. Doesn't even have to be the ones I need. If you want to get rid of Pokemon cards, send them my way, or anything you want to send. Radio Mike, 257 Clarendon Street, South Melbourne, 3205. That's my work. I think they get annoyed that they're receiving letters for me that are just Pokemon cards, but whatever. Just send them there. And I believe there's only 3 maybe that we're missing now, and I know one of them is the Gengar card, which seems to be the hardest to get. The Gengar is a very cool Pokemon. He's one of my favorites. And I got the Aerodactyl card, which was one that I was missing. So I think the other one, aside from the Gengar, I think I'm not even sure now, but what I do know for a fact is that Radio Alex Sky has the remaining cards, I'm pretty sure. Most of the remaining cards that I need, Alex Sky has. And he was willing to trade them with me if I was able to give him some of my cards. However, all of my doubles, like the cards that I had spare, were at my parents' house, which I was unable to go and retrieve because of lockdown. now the lockdown's over, I've been able to go to my parents' place, and I believe I have some interesting cards here for you, Radio Alex Guy. So listen up, or if you're watching the video, I'll hold them up. So I think the main card that you wanted / needed was the Clefable card. Well, I've got a Clefable. It's not a shiny. It's just a standard Clefable card. And this rarity is the star rarity. I think it goes circle is common, square is uncommon, and star is very rare. And so I've got the Clefable card here. You can have that. And a few other cards that I have here for you. I know you wanted, I think, an Abra card, which I definitely have. I also have a Snorlax, which is another star rarity, which you're welcome to have as well. I have Dodrio, that's a diamond, which is a medium rare. I have Nidorino, and I have a shiny Flareon that you can have, as well as Pinsir, Muck, and Vileplume. 3 cards there. You can have all of them if you want. And as a consolation as well, you are welcome to, if you would like, any of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, because they were in with the Pokemon cards at Mum and Dad's, including the Red Eyes Black Dragon. You can also have this one, which is Hungry Burger. I find that one quite funny. And Hero Shadow Scout, which kind of looks like a tall blue Mike Wazowski. So I had a little bit of a laugh at that. But I will hit you up privately so we can organize this trade, because I think I have most of the ones you have. You can also have 4 Ponyta cards. I have 4 Ponyta cards, all the same cards. You can have all of them if you want. I will send you however many cards you want. I believe we are getting very close, guys, thanks to you guys, to completing the Pokemon card collection. And I am very excited for it. Very, very excited. Before moving on, and lots of talk of 90s, millennial kids anime, such as Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, onto Yu-Gi-Oh! Just very quickly, because as I said, I found my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards at my mum and dad's place. And I was looking through them and I found something that just made me laugh so much. Now, what happened was, I don't know if anyone here has watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Or used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But there was, it's a card dueling game where people have cards that have monsters on them. I think it's based on Magic the Gathering. It's like a kid's version of that. They have cards, they play a card game, and the creatures on the card come to life. For example, as I said before, Red Eyes Black Dragon, right? It's a black dragon with red eyes. It looks quite vicious. It's a high fantasy creature, Red Eyes Black Dragon. Some of the other famous ones were the Dark Magician. There was the Harpy Lady. There was the Elder Dragon, or whatever, the Young Dragon, the Elder Dragon. I've got one here, Andro Sphinx. Theanin the Great Sphinx, Relinquished, all these really cool monsters, whatever. And then I was just looking through all these cards yesterday when I was going to pick them up for Radio Alex Sky, and I came across a Yu-Gi-Oh card that is, and remember, Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Harpy's Dragon, the Harpy Lady, Harpy Brother, Toon Dragon, all these cool monsters. Came across this card, simply called Trent. I'm holding it up to the camera. This card is called Trent. Admittedly, it's a big tree. It's a big tree on the picture, and it says, a guardian of the woods. This massive tree is believed to be immortal, right? And the name of this card is Trent. And I'm just picturing Yu-Gi-Oh! In a duel. And, you've got Yu-Gi-Oh! And he's like, all right, I place my Red Eyes Black Dragon in attack mode and end my turn. And then, I'm just imagining, because Trent is such an Aussie bogan name, you just have some guy on the other side and he's like, yeah, righto, mate. I'll fucking play Trent. I'll play Trent in attack mode. And then, the monsters appear. So I'm just imagining the Red Eyes Black Dragon appears and it's this menacing dragon. And then this other guy's, yeah, fucking play Trent in attack mode, mate. And then this guy called Trent just appears and he's just like an Aussie guy in like a bintang singlet and thongs on his feet and like a cap with a cigarette, and he's just like, "G'day, mate," and the and the dark magician or whatever just kills him. I don't know why this Yu-Gi-Oh card called Trent just made me laugh so much. You've got Red Eyes Black Dragon, and then you got Trent. Yeah, guys, I'm Trent. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like this massive tree is believed to be immortal. Immortal tree, eternal tree, any other name could have sufficed, but if anyone can give me a reason why this card is just called Trent, why is this card the name of an Australian man from Brisbane? G'day guys, I'm Trent. I don't understand this. I don't understand why this tree is called Trent. And then this dragon, like, why is this dragon not called, like, it's the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Yeah. Why is it not just called, like, Shane? G'day, guys. I'm Shane. Oh, g'day, Shane. I'm Trent. Like, why is this card Trent and this card is Red Eyes Black Dragon? That's what I wanted to talk about in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh today. Thank you for listening to my talk about the bizarre. I would like someone to find out the history and the reason behind this Yu-Gi-Oh card called Trent. What is the etymology of the name Trent? How does it relate to the immortal tree from the forest? That's what I want to know by next week. That is the homework for next week. Thank you from me and from Trent. I'm sure Trent wants to understand his own fucking name as well. Okay, I don't think we've done this next segment, one of the great segments of the show for a while. So let's do one of these.
Lost in translation.
Lost in translation.
It is Lost in Translation. This segment is pretty simple, actually. What happens in this segment is I take a famous song lyric from a song that is also famous. I guess for it to be a famous song lyric, you'd assume the song is famous. I put it into Google Translate and I translate it back and forth between like 20 different languages. Whatever Google spits out at the end, I give to you. It is then your job to find out what the original song was. I sometimes give hints. I sometimes don't. This week I will, because as the name suggests, this week the lyrics have definitely gotten lost in translation. But it is not me that announces the lyrics. It is my good friend Google. Google, how are you going?
Good, thanks, Mike.
Great, that's good to hear. Okay, well, Google, why don't you why don't you put the lyrics into the translation machine and spit them out as they came out, and then we'll go from there.
No worries, Mike.
Awesome.
Initiating translation process protocol. 22% complete. 50% complete. 77% complete. 100% complete. Translation result is: I do not feel that way. Very tired, very active. I was surprised. Not me or you.
All right. This is almost indistinguishable from its original song. But I will say that this song, in my opinion, is certainly a song that I believe pretty much everyone who is listening to this podcast would know. I think it is a very famous song. It is a song, I would say it came out in the early 2000s, but I could be wrong. And I at the moment, just can't be bothered fact checking. It is a song by, it's certainly not a pop song. It's one of the more famous non-pop songs of its time. I suppose, like, I would put it in, I guess, a more of a rock genre. But this band wasn't necessarily a rock band. They were kind of a band that experimented with lots of different styles of music, and I thought that was what made them really cool. This band was a really big band. They're still sort of together, but that's it. Those are the clues. And this would probably be this band's like trademark song. Like, this is probably their most well-known song. Do I give another clue? This song has been remixed in some form, and the remix may or may not be more popular than the original. That's all I'm saying, because I think that might give it away. That is your Lost in Translation. Send it in. You know where to send them. I'm not playing the jingle again. I've played it twice already this episode. You know the email. Send in your thoughts. Voice messages preferred. You can also attach a voice message to to an email. You don't have to call the number if you don't want to. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. We will find out the answer to that next week on the show. Just before I go out to get the Big Mac and the Big Jack, I spoke last week and people seem to really like the clip on Instagram about me cheating on the year 9 IT. Oh no, not IT exam. The year 9 science test. What is a symbiotic relationship was the question. And I talked about a man, Michael Perksy, as we call him, who was sitting next to me and was indirectly involved in the cheat, but was an innocent party, as I said last week. Honestly, Perksy, great guy. Just, one of those people that you're friends with at school, your mates with at school, but just, over time, you just lose touch with a lot of people from school. And haven't really seen him for a very long time. Can't remember the last time I saw Perksy, but I have him on Instagram. And I decided to, I posted the clip of that where I mentioned Perksy on last week's episode. I posted it on Instagram and I just thought, oh, what the hell? I'll just send this to Perksy because, memory changes over time. One, I was 99% sure it was Perksy. Two, I would have loved to have seen it from his perspective or heard what he thought, or even if he remembered it, because, significant moment in my life may have not been significant at all in his life. So I sent it to him in DMs and I said, hey, Perksy, bit weird, but I mentioned you on my podcast this week. I don't know if you remember this story, but I just wanted to send this to you as a blast from the past. Radio Perksy, welcome to the radio family, because he said, this is amazing. I remember it very well. Thank you for defending my innocence in what is surely the scandal of the century. And also a bunch of people from my school messaged me about it and were trying to figure out which teachers it was. What I will say is if you listen to this podcast and you went to my school in my year, I didn't really change the names very much. So I think it's quite clear. If you went to the school, you should know. I didn't change them very much. So yeah. That is all I will say, but someone did comment on it who went to my school. He suggested one teacher. It was not that teacher. Anyway, that's just sort of some insider stuff. See if you can decode the identity. So really good to have Perksy on board with all of that, and had a lot of really positive feedback to that, and had a lot of people in fact, I had one voice message come in. This voice message is from someone who calls himself Radio McDonald. However, that is the fake name of the teacher that I made up last week. Let's play that voice message here.
G'day, Radio Mike. Radio McDonald here with a quick little poem for you. Roses are red, violets are blue. Don't lie to me, Michael. I saw you. Get fucked.
Yeah, great one. And don't lie to me, Michael, is the quote that teacher said to me when I lied about cheating. And another message came in from Radio Green. Welcome to the radio family, Radio Green, who I believe contributed once to the show early last year. So thanks for being back, Radio Green. He has a cheating story of his own, and it's kind of has a funny twist to it. Take it away, Radio Green, and thanks for your voicemail.
Hey Mike, Radio Green here. Listening to last week's podcast and hearing you talk about how cheating didn't end well for you, I thought you might enjoy how I cheated once and got my ducks in ICT for 2 years in a row because of that. My friend Matt and I would always work together on assessment, helping each other out. Towards the end of the first year, he got way ahead of me, and he got bored and wanted something to do, so he just let me copy all of his answers so he could have someone to hang out with. For whatever reason, I was told I was already getting the award for the first year, so he made a deal with the teachers, with Matt and I, for him to get the award the following year. When it came to the awards the next year, I won it the second time because, and I quote from the teacher, "Oops, I forgot to change the names." So just an FYI, cheating doesn't always have to end badly. It can end in your favour. Good to see you back. Thank you and fuck you.
A great story there, Radio Green. Well done on Duxing IT. Welcome to the fellow Duxers of IT club that you and me are definitely a part of. Now we must go on to an event that has been hyped up for weeks. I have been talking a lot about the Big Mac and the Big Jack. The Big Jack is the copy of the Big Mac from Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's is copying McDonald's Big Mac with some pretty edgy and aggressive marketing, poking fun at McDonald's regularly, and just making fun of them a lot. I have decided to do a live review of the Big Jack and the Big Mac side by side on this podcast. I am going to go now. So I'm going to, for you guys, it'll be instantaneous. It's sort of like an episode of Dragon Ball Z, like I talked about at the top. I am going to go. I'm going to get both of the burgers, which may take me 20 minutes to half an hour. I just moved here. I don't know where the nearest Macca's and KFC is, but I'm sure there are some, not KFC, Hungry Jack's. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to come back. So if you're watching the video or if you're listening to this, I'm going to maybe, what should I do? I'll just post, I will put in some elevator style music that has no significance for like 5 seconds. And then I will be back with the food ready to review it on the pod live here for you, the listener of this show. I will see you very soon. Well, I will see you instantly, but you need to understand, for me, this is going to take time. For you, instant. Anyway, I'm sure you get it now. You instant, me time. You instant, me time. That's it. I'm not explaining it any further. Time to go. All right, I am back. Mikey is back. Mikey is back with a Mac and a Jack. I got both. I also got some chippies, which I ate in the car. And wow, I'm really excited. Just for context, it turns out the Macca's and the Hungry Jacks near here are both very close to each other. So it was quite quick, but the Big Mac was picked up first. So the Big Mac has about 3 minutes on the Big Jack. And what I will say is the first interesting thing about this, right, is that the Big Mac is given in a box, right? You got a cardboard box, whereas the Big Jack wrapped in paper like any other burger. Macca's does this for the cheeseburger. Hungry Jack's has done that for the Big Jack. And on appearance alone, I would have to say that appearance alone, the Mac is certainly looking better than the Jack. The Jack packed and stacked. The Jack is packed and stacked quite haphazardly. The Mac's sitting there quite nicely. Both of these burgers are radiating a very nice smell. And this is going to be a taste along. You go buy your own and you can taste along with me. What I will say about the paper wrapping on the Hungry Jack's burger is that it clearly shows that, McDonald's has theirs in a box, clearly shows that McDonald's values their burgers more than Hungry Jack's. Or at least, and it makes sense. McDonald's values the Big Mac. It's their flagship burger. Whereas Hungry Jack's, they're doing this to spit in the face of McDonald's. They're not going to waste money on cardboard, right? All the money's going to the advertising. They'll put it in paper. I imagine that's cheaper. As I said, presentation, not great. Let's go. I reckon I start with a bite from the Big Jack because I know I've had a Big Mac before. I've never had a Big Jack. So I'll have a sort of reference point already for the Mac. What I will say, and this might work in the Jack's favor, the Jack is looking a lot more saucy for one, which means that it's likely to be a more moist burger as opposed to the Mac, which is looking kind of dry, not very much sauce. And I don't like a dry burger. I want, nice moist burger, bit of sauce, the meat not too dry. The Macca's meat, admittedly, looking pretty dry. I'll take a bite out of the Big Jack. If you're doing the taste along, it's like a sing along, but for tasting. Take a bite out of your Big Jack now. All right, here I go. I'll bite into the microphone. Quite good. So the Big Mac, the Big Jack, the sauce they're using, the imitation Big Mac sauce, pretty different to the Big Mac sauce. It's certainly not a 1-to-1. Chunks of onion here. I might just get a tissue. Quite good. Quite good. All right. I'll grab my Big Mac now. I will take a bite of that. Again, this is looking like a much drier burger than the Jack. All right. If you're doing a taste along, now is time to taste your Big Mac. Okay. Just chewing. This might be the first ever podcast taste along, by the way. Okay, I might need one more taste of the Jack. Okay. Verdict time. I have a lot of thoughts. I will say this, I was worried about the Big Jack when I saw it was in paper wrapping. It showed a lack of respect for the burger. However, that's a really moist burger. There's no dryness in that burger. It's a pretty good burger. The Mac, pretty dry. Not much sauce. The bun, not as soft. I will say that on this occasion, the bites, well, I guess in fairness, I have to have another bite of the Mac. Okay. Yeah, just reframes things a bit. Taste 2 if you're doing the taste along. Okay. I'm giving this to the Big Jack. I know that's a shock, but look at that. That's covered in sauce. The meat is not dry. The Big Mac sauce, the Big Mac meat, very dry meat. So in this instance, I'm not saying it's an all or nothing. I'm not saying that this is always, but in this instance, the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's. This is my conclusion. This specific Big Jack is better than this specific Big Mac, right? Today, the Big Jack won. Your experience may differ. I do not speak for everyone. So there you go. We tasted the Big Mac Big Jack. If you did the taste along, let me know your notes. Or if you just taste them at any time, let me know your notes. Guys, that's pretty much all we got time for this week. Good episode. Thank you so much for listening. You can... Sorry, guys, I'm just digesting this burger. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Head to YouTube. I put the full episodes on YouTube as videos. And what I think I'm going to do, again, I'm not too good at YouTube, but I think I'm going to do the extended clips that I put on Insta, like clips from the episode on the YouTube channel as well. So, for example, I'll do the Big Mac Big Jack as a YouTube video. I'll do last week's Borat 2 discussion as a YouTube video. Just because I only really post longer clips like that. It gives me a chance to put longer clips on YouTube. I only really put them on Insta, and Insta doesn't really recommend videos to people. It just it only goes to followers. So I feel like to get the podcast out there more, I'm going to do that. So subscribe, YouTube, Radio Mike. I put a few other videos up. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the channel, but the videos will go up. Harry Potter and the Boys videos, please go watch, subscribe to the podcast, listen, review on iTunes. That'll be the biggest help you can do for both of these podcasts. That would be amazing. And hit me up, radio.mike, radiomikepod@gmail.com, 1-800-438-353. However you want, get in touch with the show. You build the show. Respond to Harry Potter and the Boys as well through those means. I think that's more or less it. Buy a sticker pack, radiomike.com.au. Don't forget the .au. Mike talks tomorrow from the day this is out. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Check out the Luke Kidgel Mike Talks as I plugged at the start. Thank you so much for listening. As I always say, my name has been Radio Mike. This has been the inside of my mind. Don't block the MDF ever in your life. I am a very kind young man, and a lot of your staff could learn a lot from me. And the last thing I want to say is don't lie to me. I saw you. Have a great week. See you later.